I think I start with the definition of new work. This is a term which was coined by social philosopher Fridtjof Bergmann, and he developed this term in the scope of his work during the 80s in a moat town in the US, where automatization killed about 50% of all the jobs there. And he came up with the idea to share the remaining labor work within the community and to add two new ways of working. And one way of working is that what he called is a kind of high-tech self-providing, which means that because there's not so many labor income anymore, that you start doing things your own. And the third thing is starting this kind of work which you really, really like to do. And this becomes a kind of social glue between a society again. I share with you some insights on a project we do in Vienna, which is called CityFactory. It's a collaborative project between the Museum of Applied Arts in Vienna and the City of Vienna and its business agency. The image you see here is a kind of strange place to work. It's a kind of urban void in the middle of Vienna. There will be a huge housing development, but still they have no idea what to do. And there is a project of the Technical University in Vienna where students work together. 2 years ago, on the high time of this so-called refugee crisis, we have been commissioned by the Austrian government in the scope of the architectural biennial in Venice to take care about this house that you see here. It is a former police camp and is now used in a mixed use for about 600 refugees, which is the area which you see in yellow. 2,100 square meters, 600 people. It's a mixed use with a school and special forces of the police. It's a really strange place. And that's so it looks inside. It's not a very attractive space, as you see. And as you know, our refugees are not allowed to work. And this is something we found quite interesting. And the first intervention we did as designers was to create work. We created this open design catalog, which is called Social Furniture. And in this catalog, it's 18 furniture pieces in order to build communal kitchens for the people there and to involve a kind of alternative economy. The only tool which you need in order to process this furniture is this kind of circular saw. And during these 2 years, we had the possibility to have roughly 300 people of this house to build collectively their own furniture. So we built more than 1,000 individual pieces of more than 1 ton of this kind of yellow shuttering boards. And of course, there's many projects in refugee houses where you build something, but I think it's the only case where we have really a kind of industrial production of furniture. This is one of the pages of this catalog, which is open source and you can find on the EOS homepage as a free download. And coming back to kitchen and cooking, this was the idea of a kind of kitchen commons, so that 20 people within this refugee community share one kitchen, and this is their tool set. And this is one of the cooking sessions we could attend, and in the house we have 40 different nations. That's incredible. 600 people, 40 different nations, and in this kitchen here we have cooks from 9 different nations. And I think it's a kind of social experiment. We are not, it was not our idea to do such an experiment, but I think to have this kind of global community and bringing them together with cooking was was an interesting thing. And then we came up with the idea to introduce kind of alternative economy with kind of maybe such a grocery store, or in this case we built up a very a hairdresser store where hairdressers from 4 different nations share the space. And in order to, because the refugees, they have no money, in order to kick off an economy, we had the idea to do that digitally, because all the refugees more or less have mobile phones. And this was the point we came into contact with Complexity Science Hub in Vienna, and had the possibility with 2 initial workshops together with the team here to dream about how this economy could be kicked off. And I show you here some images from our field studies, our ethnographies, and one of these studies were in the entrance area of the refugee camp, and we stopped the people and gave them 2 very easy questions. And this first question was, what would you like to receive as a service or as a product, and what are you able to give as a service or a product? And you see these 2 categories have been mapped in a kind of visual and easy way. And so people, for example, they offer that they can bake bread, or they can repair cars, or they can drive cars, or they do some massage or whatsoever. And then, in order to have this economy, we ask as well, so what would you like to have, to receive? What is your needs? And also you see a kind of lot of images here. It was more or less only little things that people really wished to have. That was some free entrance to gymnasiums, or the most liked was German courses, which are certificate. And of course it's quite difficult to run an economy where you have lots of offers but only a kind of very restricted needs. And so we went into smaller scale workshops, as you see the image here, and we tried to understand in a smaller scale what people offer and how they could exchange their needs. And as soon as you dive into this topic a little bit deeper, you see the creativity in what these people have as their background and their wishes and dreams. And it's not only gymnasium and these kind of things. And when you see here a baker from Iran, and and another person shows this kind of religious sweets, and it's quite interesting that how this, when you dive deeper, how can you visualize this kind of new creative economy. And these are 2 other examples of people. One can make really beautiful drawings and portraits, and another one is able to do this kind of furniture construction. And I think it's really interesting, because as this is a conference which is on complexity, we see this is a less complex way to run a refugee camp, and then you see the complexity of this kind of people and what they're able to do. And it was quite a hard try to understand how to match these needs and offers. And this is just one example of 2 persons which originate from the Iran. And of course, many people are able to cook, of course, for themselves, and many people would like to have dishes from other people. But then you have these 40 different nations, and it's quite difficult to find a match for that. And in this case, the one man would like to cook, and the other one would exchange this kind of cooking with teaching computer lessons. And I guess that when we use technology today, we would be able to manage this kind of complexity of needs and things people like to offer. And what you see here is a kind of, this is the workshop situation where they still build this furniture which we have designed 2 years ago. And it was really quite difficult to sustain this workshop project because we had no money inflow, and we would like to reward the people. And this was one of the things that we discussed in the workshop in Vienna, how to create a kind of alternative currency in order to balance and to exchange. It's a kind of open door workshop which will make it impossible in order to go on in the winter time. And so unfortunately we have to stop this project after 2 years, but I think it's still alive because we have 3,000 downloads just from the instruction mode for building this furniture, which is really a lot. We sold more than 1,000 hard copies of these instructions. And we know from a lot of places, and even in Italy, where they start building this social furniture project. And I think the very idea is that untrained people can find a labor which makes sense for them. And of course, we need someone in order to run the workshop. That costs money. I think if we don't have to pay for them, that will make a difference. We have a collaboration since the beginning with the NGO Caritas. But of course, this is not the basic, it's not the core business to produce furniture. And so we could sustain the project over the summer within the scope of the Vienna Biennial. And what you see here is that in this kind of refugee furniture workshop, we produced the exhibition furniture for a huge exhibition which is around 1,400 square meters big. And with this money income, we could sustain the workshop again. So I think it's a really demanding project because the main business of EOS is being furniture designers and receiving money for copyrighted furniture. And this kind of open design catalog is something which has a license and a Creative Commons license like Wikipedia, so everyone can use it, and it's just you have to name that we have designed it and you can change it. And I'm totally sure that this will be the right way to proceed with furniture design, but I think then you see that the whole idea of our business need to change. Thank you.